Hey guys, it's thatguysean.com. Like and subscribe, and I'll be your friend. I'll like and subscribe your stuff. So that would mean a lot to me. Today, I have a cool dude on my podcast, Mr. Tsoanelo Rantsho. Is that right?
That's right, man. You got it. You got it.
How you doing,
Beautiful.
man?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm happy. I feel good now that we started, actually.
No, I'm excited.
Um, yeah. And so, dude, I want to give you the title. You're the first person I've had on that's like into acting that acts.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Let's jump into this then. I'm ready for the questions.
If this goes well, I'll have on more actors. But if it doesn't,
Oh,
I'm like,
I'm confident.
okay, yeah.
I've seen your podcast. You're a good interviewer, so I think
Right.
this will go well.
Yeah. If it goes poorly, I'm like, I'm done with actors. Just do the Tsoanelo episode.
I don't want to be one of those pretentious, self-indulgent type figures. I just want to
Okay.
shoot it straight, like regular conversation. Just
Cool.
make it fun. Just do our thing.
So why don't we start with maybe not the very beginning, but I recently watched, it was really cool. You sent me like 3 videos of projects you've worked on.
Yeah.
And so those are under, so anyone watching, guys, the links are underneath. I definitely suggest you clicking on them because everybody says, certain different people say they're an actor. I always thought I could be a good actor. I was under the impression that like, I'm outgoing, therefore I can act. And
Right.
I tried to do scenes before for like a music video.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I think I remember seeing a couple of
Really?
those videos in the past. Yeah.
And so like I was supposed to like open a fridge and I couldn't even do it. I was so awkward. I didn't know what to do. The timing was weird. And I was like, this is hard. I can't act. I want nothing to do with it. And I watched yours and I thought, oh geez, Tsoanelo can really act.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, maybe we should start from the beginning. So when did you first think like, oh, I want to get involved in this?
To be honest with you, I was probably 5, 6 years old.
Oh, young.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because the movie that I was watching that my inspiration for whatever reason was watching Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton in Batman 1989.
I watched the scene from that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. That I think that was one of the first live action films that I watched. And at the time, that movie came out in 1989. So I think I watched it in 1991. So I was about 6. So when I saw that movie, because Batman's always been my favorite comic book hero,
Okay.
I didn't understand anything about the world of acting, auditions, agents, none of that. I was a child, but I knew that I wanted to do exactly what they're doing. And my dad would always say, "Oh, it's all make believe. It's make believe. It's not really Batman. He's an actor pretending to be Batman. It's make believe." Yeah. So I'm like, Dad, okay, I wanna do make believe things on TV. I want to do that. So then I was always told that it's fine, do it if you want, but have something to fall back on because it's not the most stable of career choice, right? So majority of my life, I was always trying to figure out what kind of a stable job can I take up as a fallback plan, just in case acting doesn't necessarily work out.
Right.
And I think I've picked every single job you could possibly think of. I wanted to be a fireman, but not really. I wanted to be a cop, but not really. A teacher, but not really. But at the end of the day, I still wanted to be an actor. I just knew nothing about breaking into the industry.
Right.
So until like probably high school, when I actually started researching it, having a better understanding for the business and how it all worked, that's what motivated me more to kind of throw myself into it and start doing background work on film sets and taking drama classes and then private acting classes and then actually like pursuing it in college and then just kind of taking off from there.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, dude, I like you said that like acting is something that's great to pursue, right? Lots of people should pursue it. Just also figure out your money game on the side, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason you can't do both.
No, you can't. Like it's, I mean, it's hit and miss in terms of the
Right.
level of success that you can achieve, right? Some
Yeah.
people get really lucky. It definitely is an industry where it's about who you know and how well you're able to market yourself and
Right.
network with other people, especially here in Toronto. Um, so a lot of people living in Toronto, a lot of the younger crowd, anyways, a lot of them are aspiring actors or aspiring comedians or
Right.
something in the arts where it's not
Yeah.
necessarily the most stable of career choices. So they have to work side jobs to support themselves, right? Whether that's waiting tables or working in a movie theater, whatever, right? So it all, you just have to have a really clear mindset and a clear game plan uh, in terms of that, and just
Yeah.
make sure you stick with it. It takes a long time. You just have to have that patience as well. It's easy to quit.
Right, 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 right. So I have like when you're mentioning people, those people in Toronto, I was thinking I was those people. But like, right, like like
Yeah,
DJing or anything, just trying to get into I'm a photographer now, right? Just getting
right,
into anything, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I was all but the thing I think that was good is that I was always working. I
right.
was never
Yeah,
having like an artistic stint. I was like
yeah,
working every single day, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go be this.
yeah. And
Mhm.
that's good. I mean, that's a solid approach. Like if you want to pursue anything in the arts, acting, comedy, photography, whatever, that's fine. Absolutely do it and throw everything you can into it.
Right.
But if you can have a job where it's not necessarily just a side gig where you're waiting tables, but maybe a potential career, or you can figure out another way of breaking into the industry of your choice, but on a more stable level, then all the more to you, like all the more power to you. And I think
Yeah.
it's doable. You just have to have the patience and know exactly how you want to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, well, I think it's really cool that like a lot of people jump around. I hopped around different stuff that you have really stuck with acting.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I'm sure you've gotten much better. Well, what about the very beginning when you first started?
So
Were you naturally good or
so when I mentioned that Batman was an inspiration,
yeah.
that's kind of watching those movies was kind of how I learned how to memorize dialogue.
Okay.
So I would watch the movie, like all four of them, like the Joel Schumacher and the Tim Burton movies. I would watch them so much that I memorized every actor's line scene for scene for all four movies. And then
Wow.
I moved on to the Ninja Turtles franchise
Oh,
and I
it's a
started
good one.
memorizing every scene word for word, but not just sitting on the couch watching it. Like I'd actually be standing in front of the TV in costume.
Cool.
And so as soon as you see Batman on screen, I'm wearing my Batman outfit and I'm acting it out in front of the television. When he's Bruce Wayne, I take off the entire suit, like I'm
Wow.
pretending to be Bruce Wayne. And if it's Ninja Turtles, I'm doing the same thing. So by the time high school started for us, I was pretty good at memorizing lines. Like that wasn't much of a challenge. And that was also good preparation for college, where you're having to memorize scenes on a weekly basis and sometimes for more than one class. So there'd be days where regularly where you have a scene study class, you're given a script, a 4 to 6 page script, and you have one other actor in the program that you need to rehearse with.
Yeah.
So it's like a 2 hour class. So you're given your script at the beginning of your class. By the end of my class, I've already memorized the entire script. So now it's just a matter of getting together with that other actor, rehearsing once or twice. Then the following week, you go in class and then you perform the entire thing on camera. And then your class and your instructor, they just critique you. So it's just that for 2 years straight. And then
Right.
just taking private classes on the side. And then when I came to Toronto, I at that point I already had some experience working on stage, so I started kind of like promoting myself, and I set up a profile online and started submitting myself for different gigs around the city,
Right.
student films, short films, features, whatever, and whatever projects I would land. I mean, obviously, whether it paid or not, you're giving it your all because I mean, that's also networking as well, right?
Right.
So that worked in my favor. So I was able to, put together a pretty decent portfolio and then find a pretty stable job or like a salaried position. So I do that and I do acting and I got into producing. So the short films that I sent you, the links on your
Yeah.
page, those are projects that I was acting in, but I also produced as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I'm getting more so into producing and I'll be going back to school in the fall for producing as well.
Cool. You know, one of
Yeah.
my buddies, Peter Biggs, what's his name? Peter Smart Biggs. Anyway, he's doing producing in Toronto right now. I'll connect you to.
Nice, nice.
Really
That'd be
cool
awesome.
guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You guys hopefully go work on a project. Really cool guy. And so he's
cool.
always giving me, he's like, I want to be a producer. And I'm like, why don't you do this? He's like, no, that's not producing. I want to be a producer. And I'm like, okay, but you should try this. But so let's talk about that. The first link you sent me, that'll be the first one that they can click on. It was called the patrol, the
Was it a speedy ticket?
speeding ticket. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that one is shot really beautifully. I don't know what the camera is, but
It was used. Oh my gosh. So the director, his name is Kentaro. He's from Japan, actually, from Tokyo, Japan.
cool.
So the story behind that was Robert, who was the driver in the
Yeah.
video clip.
I've seen him
He's my-
before. I've seen the driver before.
Oh
Does
yeah?
he do a lot of comedy stuff?
No, he's mostly a writer, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, mostly writing. I think maybe he's done a few videos here and there, skits or whatever, but his main focus is writing.
Okay.
So he cast me in a short film years ago, and we lost touch after that short film. And then I remember I auditioned for a show, an episodic for Murdoch Mysteries a few years ago,
Yeah.
and the role was a character named George Dixon. So he was a Canadian boxer back in like the 1800s, late 1800s. I didn't get the part, but I put so much into that character, into preparing for the audition, where I found books on George Dixon. I read the book twice, and I figured, you know what, I kind of want to write a screenplay on this guy. But Robert was the first person that came to mind, someone that I could potentially reach out to. So I reached out to him, and at this point, I'd say maybe it had been 5 years since we've spoken. And I told him, hey man, like I hope you're doing well. I have this script, a feature film script that I want to put together. I don't have the rights to it, but I want to see if I could pull off writing it, and I want to know if you'd be interested in helping me out. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'm in. So at that point, the next week, I got him a copy of the book. We agreed to read it, have it done by a certain date, and then we'd meet week after week, and we just start writing and putting ideas together and just brainstorming.
Okay.
And he told me that there was another friend of his who is a director and an editor in Japan, but he's temporarily living in Toronto. His name is Kentaro.
Yeah.
Would I be okay with him working on this project with us? I'll introduce you over coffee. So I say, yeah, sure, why not? You could add like a different point of view on the project, maybe add something that I never thought of adding to the project. So that's how we got connected. So we wrote the script. It took the better part of a year to write that script. But before we can start looking into securing rights or getting grants or anything like that, we kind of wanted to establish like a portfolio, so that as a reference point, right? So that's why we decided to get into making skits and short films. Hence why we came up with Speeding Ticket. Speeding Ticket was a skit that Robert wrote with Kentaro, and the three of us ended up producing. And then I acted in it. So the kind of camera, going back to your question, it was like a Canon, man, I forget the exact model, but it was just like one of those, just like a Canon digital camera.
Really? It looked great.
Yeah. He'd always carry it around. That was his baby.
Right.
And they wrote the script. They sent it to me. I had about a week to memorize everything. And then we figured, since there was such it would be such a tight shot and pretty easy to film, and Ken is already a really talented filmmaker. It was just a matter of getting a makeup artist who I connected with my old manager, my ex-manager. I used to work at a movie theater as a projectionist.
Wow.
So his girlfriend is a professional makeup artist. So I told him about this project that I was trying to put together. So he connected us with his girlfriend. So she showed up to the apartment, did the makeup. Robert was able to borrow the car from his parents,
Wow.
and we literally shot that scene just on a side street. We
Yeah.
got like a badge, like a cop badge at like a dollar store, put it
Oh,
on
no
my
way.
jacket.
It looked
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. And then like the outfit was my outfit, like just black jeans, a black dress shirt, and a tie,
Oh,
and the jacket
it
over
looked
the top.
legit. And then
Yeah, thanks,
you
man.
did such a great job. Like I was just thinking I would laugh. I'm like, I'd laugh there, I'd laugh there. Wait, was there bloopers in that reel or did you
There are definitely bloopers.
okay.
Definitely bloopers. I think, to be honest with you, that entire shoot, it was no more than an hour. It was probably like a
Wow.
1 hour shot. Yeah, it was actually really quick.
Yeah, this
And
last.
and the only reason why it was an hour of shooting is because we were constantly breaking character and laughing throughout the entire thing.
Okay.
But once we were able to finally like get it straight, and we
Yeah.
both knew our lines, we knew exactly the type of shots that we wanted to get. But
Right.
so once you get all the laughing out of your system and all, then you just kind of delve right into it. And yeah, we're able to shoot it all in about an hour and go back to the house and just kind of review the footage. And Ken did the editing as well, so he was able to have it completely ready to go for
Yeah.
viewing in about a week. So we just posted it on YouTube.
You played a cop really well.
Oh, did I? Thanks.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. I was like,
Oh,
geez, this is good. This is believable. That was
oh,
very good. You should be a
thanks.
cop in like a series, like a future Netflix series.
Oh man, if only.
Right.
We've been writing so much. We've been
Yeah.
writing so much and just kind of like temporarily putting it on the back burner because at the time it's like, yeah, we can write, we work well together, we could brainstorm and provide constructive criticism on our basic like for our ideas and all, but we don't really know the approach to actually securing rights for like scripts that have been adapted from a book that we all read. You
Right.
know, we don't know exactly how to get grants. We don't really know who to go to. Like I would there like there are resources like you go to like the Ontario Arts Council, Toronto Arts Council, and apply for grants through that. But
Right.
at the time we didn't know,
Right.
so we were just making these little short films and skits and posting it online, and then life happened and we
Right.
just kind of lost touch, and Ken had to fly back to Japan and focus on his career over there. So but then there's a little, I guess, like I took like a sabbatical from everything and started focusing more on like my full-time job. And so I was just like, I got to get back into this again. Like I'm kind of feeling you feel like a little empty after a while
Yeah.
and you're not doing anything. Like you feel like you're not really accomplishing anything. So you have to
Right.
get back into it and then reconnect with people.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then I realized that, yeah, I still love acting. I'll still always do that. But I also want something a little more secure. I kind of like the idea of producing. I like to have that creative control. So I want to, practice that and see what I can do with that. So that was another reason why we started doing some more skits. And that's when we ended up working on Birth just before Ken ended up moving back to Japan. So we were able to shoot that entire short film,
Yeah.
but he wasn't able to edit the short film because at that point he'd already flown back to Japan.
Um,
So to finish that film, like to finish the post production,
yeah.
took almost a full year because
Wow.
we had to find different people to work on this project with and to
Yeah.
help us with the audio. So the audio is not even where we wanted it to be, but it was good enough so you could still watch it. So
Yeah.
at that point, we were just like, you know what? To shoot that entire short film, that was like what, like a 21, 22 minute short
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
It took us about 2 weeks to shoot it. And that's with like, that's just the shooting. That's not incorporating like the rehearsals and the meetings
Right.
and all of that.
Right.
I had to I had to overlook, like I was doing the casting, the location scouting, um, and trying to get deals, basically trying to get it all done for free.
Right.
So we were literally working on like a $300 budget.
Right.
And that $300 was going strictly to the makeup artists. Everyone
Right.
else was working for free. The locations we shot at was for free. The equipment was free. Like, so we were really, really, really fortunate when it
That's
came to
awesome.
getting done. Yeah, yeah. It was a great time. I
It's
had a
so
great
crazy, right? Because
time.
like people would have no idea. Like I watch that and I'll be like, yeah, this part's good. Yeah, that part's okay. Right. But it's
Yeah,
like how much work went into
yeah,
everything for you to put that together for sure.
yeah, no, yeah,
And
yeah. It
that
was
that girl,
definitely
I
a
feel like
lot.
have I seen her before in Hamilton, or I feel like I've seen her before.
The actress?
Yeah.
No, no, no. So Maria Cristal is her name. No, she's based out of Toronto. So I
Okay.
met her here in Toronto. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why she looked familiar to me. Maybe I
Yeah.
saw her in something.
Maybe,
Um,
maybe.
yeah, okay. So that was cool. That one was funny to me though as well. I thought it was really funny. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
because I know you and I'm like, oh yeah, he's doing his
Yeah.
thing. And but the Japanese friend, sorry, what was his name? Ki
Kentaro.
Kintaro. Dude, he shot
Kentaro.
that as well, eh?
Yeah, yeah. He shot the whole thing. Yeah.
The lighting is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Of course,
yeah.
your acting is good as well, but like, it also matters, right? You can be a
Oh
great
yeah.
actor, but like the whole thing looks really good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
glad you
Yeah,
guys
no, it's fun
connected.
times. It's
He's probably
definitely fun
thankful
times.
that he has a good actor though as well.
That helps, but I would also say that working with those guys definitely made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you're playing a part for anything, right? I mean, you have to memorize your lines, obviously, and you have
Mhm.
to do your homework, right? So by the time you show up on set, yeah, you could be nervous and all, which is a great thing. You could work with those nerves,
Yeah.
but you need to be basically ready to go. So if everybody's really high strung and, overly, very much on edge, then you're going to feel that tension on set and that's going to affect your performance in some way, especially if you haven't really been on many sets. So working with them, even though we were all stressed out because we were all very, very much hands on with the entire process, it was still fun. They still made it fun. It was still humorous. We could still laugh like in between takes and all and make a joke out of it, but we're still on schedule. There's still deadlines. So we treated it as if we were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars per day,
Right.
even though we
Right.
weren't really spending anything. It's just,
Right.
we just took it seriously. We wanted to produce something great and we were working with what we had. So, but it was fun, man. I had a great time.
So it just shows like the level of professionalism, and maybe that's why it comes through because I'm like, oh, this is really professional, right? Like I need to give this my attention, right? I'm really glad I
Yeah,
clicked on each link before I had this interview too.
yeah.
It's like, thank God I watched these videos. The last one too, which is kind of maybe I don't know why I really like the last one. I mean, I think the second one, the birth one, like you can tell you've put so much work into that one.
Mhm, mhm.
The
Yeah,
third one too is really good because I felt like your acting is like you had to be like really angry and stuff, which I think is hard for.
yeah. This is for My Fair Lady, was
Yeah,
it?
My Fair Lady. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
I wanted to call it. I almost gave away the ending. I'm not going to.
yeah.
I almost gave away the ending.
I actually almost did too. I had to
Yeah.
really stop myself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So that one was not what I expected, and I like
Mhm.
stuff like that. Like I like that stuff. That could be like a. I feel like if it was cut up, it could be a commercial for something as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was
Absolutely.
very,
Yeah.
yeah. I love advertising. It was good like that. But the acting is awesome. Anyway, I'm not trying to get away from your acting, of course. But yeah, you and that guy, I think you had some good chemistry together.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it hard to be angry, or does that come off really easy for you?
Uh, you have to put yourself in a certain like a mind space
Yeah.
before you're even ready to shoot, right?
Yeah.
So you already know what scenes you're going to be shooting that day or any given day. So, and you've already gone over the script multiple times. And if you're working with somebody else that is also an actor, it makes it that much easier.
Yeah.
So that guy, Danny is his name. He's a professional actor. Now, how we connected is I used to be his boss.
Okay.
So when we shot that, I was still managing him. We were working downtown Toronto, and there's a VIP theater at Yonge and Dundas, right across from the Eaton Center. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
So he worked as like a server at the
Okay.
VIP theater there. So
Okay.
I was an assistant manager there. So
Right.
when I found out that he was an actor outside of the theater, I told him, hey, I'm working on this short film. If you're interested, I'd love to have you on board. I think you'd be great. So we probably had maybe one rehearsal and then just kind of going over the script on our own time. And then we just met up at Robert's apartment and we just shot it. It was
Yeah.
just like, it was four of us actually, but that was a very laid back um, set.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more, it was weird because I mean, that like we were working with there was a time restraint because I remember I had to go to work like shortly after filming.
Right.
So I had maybe 3 hours to shoot the entire thing, and then I had to
Right.
pack up my stuff and go to work.
Right.
So the stress level was definitely there, but working with Danny and because he's really professional is just it wasn't as bad as it definitely could have been.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I can only imagine, dude, because like even doing a podcast sometimes,
Yeah,
I'm like, it's too much work. And it's
yeah,
literally just I turn on Zoom and I chat and then I edit, put some music in, right?
yeah,
And then yeah, but I can't imagine how much work goes into that. And also like for me, I felt like whenever I try to do any acting at all, the pressure was too much.
yeah, yeah. It can be.
Yeah. If you
It
get
can be.
inside your head and stuff.
Yeah, especially if you have a lot of dialogue. If you have to memorize monologues, for example, for a
Right.
scene, and
Right.
it could be a monologue that it commands a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And I really don't like reading a script where it says this character is supposed to cry while saying these lines to
Right.
the. I hate that. I mean, I think you either feel it or you don't feel it, and
Right.
it'll come off as natural
Yeah.
as long as you believe in whatever it is that you're saying. If you cry, awesome, that adds to it. But if you don't, whatever, you don't cry.
That's so funny, right? That like a director must would just love to be like, oh, and cry here.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's just like an on switch. I'll do that, no
Yeah.
problem. But no,
Great.
it's
Okay.
like a build up. Like you already know the mindset that you need to be in when you're performing, whatever the line is. Same
Yeah.
thing when you're on stage. Actually, when you're on stage, you could actually get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
You could get away with faking more actually, because
Right.
it's more about the abstract gestures and how you're performing your lines in front of an audience.
Mhm.
Whereas, so it's very much out there, out in the open for the world to see, so to speak, right? Whereas when you're in front of a camera, everything's very contained, it's very emotional. People are watching your facial expressions.
Right.
They're reading your emotions. They could see it in your eyes. They could see it all over your face, right? So
Yeah.
it's a very different type of acting in front of a camera versus being on stage. So, I mean, you can fake it when you're acting in front of a camera, but not that much because people can usually detect bullshit.
Yeah.
But when you're on stage, you can get away with a lot more because it's more about like your actions, your the abstract,
Right.
performing. So
So, my mom did lots of extra work when I was in high school or later, maybe in university. My mom was doing that.
nice.
Um, yeah, and so that was really cool. She really loved that world. She got to be in the movie Cinderella Man,
Oh
and I
yeah, with Russell Crowe.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
She had a scene where she left this baker and they used her as I don't even know the word, like a scrub, like she'd come up and then that changed the scene, her face into the camera, like
oh, like
some
a
scrub.
stand-in.
Pardon? Yeah, like a
Like a
stand. Oh yeah,
stand-in.
yeah, yeah. She just walked, but she got it like a real, like an extra cameo for her.
Nice, nice,
Yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah. Uh,
Oh,
I hope I don't have to edit that out. I just right like I know my mom meant a lot to my mom, and my mom has always loved actors in that industry. And so around our house, we're always a big movie family. We'd also have tons of magazines about what's going on in different actors' lives. So I would
right,
just
right, right.
always read them, right? So it's funny, even today, like when I talk to people, a certain actor comes up, I'll be like, oh, he's going through this right now. And they're like, how do you know so much about, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so are you also into like, there's certain actors that you draw for inspiration or you watch?
Yeah, and it changes so frequently because there's so many different actors that are just kind of popping out of nowhere, and I think that's absolutely amazing. I
Right.
like I like seeing actors that I've never seen before, and I
Yeah.
think they add more to the story because you don't
Right.
know them, never seen them.
Right.
But I really like. I'm a fan of DiCaprio. I love his work. I think he
Yeah.
creates some really good stuff. I really like Idris Elba.
Yeah, he's
Um, I
awesome.
really like Kate Blanchett. Meryl Streep is amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
they're, they're all like the older generation have been around for a little while, but there's some young actors that I think are great too. Like Zendaya is really good. I think she started out doing like predominantly like Disney stuff.
Okay.
She's in the new Spider-Man movie. She plays Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she's cute. What about
yeah.
what's one of your favorite DiCaprio movies or DiCaprio scenes?
I love Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Gangs
one.
of New York.
Yeah.
That movie taught me how to write film scripts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I watched that movie once. I think I was first year college at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then I found a website where you could actually find scripts, like multiple
Oh,
drafts of
cool.
scripts for Hollywood films. So I printed out the entire script for Gangs of New York. I
Wow.
found like an earlier draft. So it wasn't the shooting draft that they went with. It was like an earlier copy. So there were scenes that were in the script that weren't in the movie at all. So I read it. I read it a few times, and I didn't copy it, but I kind of copied kind of like the formatting. Like I had an idea in terms of like a story I wanted to tell, and I used that as like as a reference point. So
Sure.
that's how I ended up learning how to write film scripts. And I did the same thing with the Last Samurai, that Tom Cruise movie. The
It's a
same
great one
thing, picked
too.
up the script, read the script from front to back multiple times, and then I had an idea and I tried to write like a short film while referencing that script. I just kept doing
Cool.
that over and over again. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Gangs of New York is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Man in the Iron Mask, What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Okay.
I think, yeah, there isn't a movie of his that I didn't like actually.
There's a lot of that's a lot of 90s DiCaprio right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love all
definitely.
DiCaprios. I was
Yeah, yeah.
watching just last night, almost you could say in preparation for this interview. I was
Oh yeah.
also watching DiCaprio's scenes in the Hollywood Story, the recent Tarantino movie.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's so good in that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was like,
Absolutely.
there's one part where he's like yelling at himself in this trailer because he was drunk and he forgot his lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't
Yeah.
remember your lines.
Yeah.
He's yelling at himself in the mirror. And I just really love that. I love that scene so much. And it's really cool because you're also talking about lines. And that's one thing I don't think of as well. Like it is a lot of memorization as well, eh?
It is. It is. It's definitely a lot. And I mean, I'm the type of person where it doesn't matter if I'm on a set filming something or if
Yeah.
I'm on stage, I'll always have my script with me. So as soon as the camera stops rolling, I'll go off site, like off camera. I'll pick the script up and I'll go through the lines again just to make sure, like to
Uh,
reassure myself that I actually know what I'm talking about.
yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll be okay. I'm good to go. Then back in front of the camera, and then they're ready to shoot, and then shoot it again and just do my thing. And when I'm on stage, same thing. Behind the curtain, I have my script in hand when I'm off the stage
Yeah.
until I actually called on stage to perform, drop the script, and then I run in front of the stage and do what I got to do. And then I'm off stage and I'm going through my couple pages to my next scene and making sure that I'm mentally ready for that because I always, I guess I kind of second guess myself and like assume that I'm going to forget whatever my line is.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with like memorizing dialogue. I mean, if you forget, which definitely happens, I'd say on stage you can get away with doing this more so. You can't just stop and acknowledge the fact that you screwed up and just try to remember your line and then run with it. If you forget your line, you kind of have to it's kind of like fast forward. You just kind of have to skip it and move on to the next line and hope to God that whatever it is you just said makes sense and the audience didn't catch you.
Right.
That's it. You're just going along, just run with it.
Yeah, and in that, and also that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, DiCaprio one in that one scene, he keeps going line, line,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the line.
Oh, that happens.
And you feel like, oh God, it just seems rough. Okay,
Yeah.
and so like over here, like I'm always trying to learn like Korean or Japanese. I'll be studying the language, and I
Mhm.
usually learn it just by memorizing lines.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
teachers always tell me, they're like, no, no, you got to learn the whole language. And I'm like, just give me 10 lines on this topic. And I just sit and remember and say them again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it sounds like that's what you're doing as well. But even
Yeah.
it's almost like learning a language.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It is a
yeah,
lot. It is a lot like learning the language.
yeah.
But then as soon as the project is done, you forget everything.
Right. That's what's the crazy part. I was like, oh, and then yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, dude, I was just thinking like when you're younger and you were like, if you were my son, like imagine like coming into the living room and your son's dressed up and he like knows every line of Batman. He's dressed up and he's going through the lines. You're like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. Like, and you're not even at the time. Like, I'm sure I wasn't even really thinking about it. Like, wow, I didn't. I can memorize these lines. Like, no, I'm just doing it. Like, I love what I'm
you
watching
loved
so
it.
much,
Yeah,
and like, you're in your own little world. It's kind of like a high almost. Like, you're just. That's what made. That's your feel good moment. Like, you're just
right.
memorizing dialogue. You're pretending you're somebody else or in another world, but you're telling a story. It's very emotionally fulfilling. Now, when you're done, it's like, oh man, like. I want to do it again. Like I'll find another script, or I gotta start submitting myself for the next project and figure it out. But
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I've always had. I guess that's why I've always just been in love with it.
It's like a nice clean buzz.
A nice clean
Um,
buzz.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. What about,
Yeah.
if you could work with any actor or actress, who would you love, like in Hollywood, who would you love to do a scene with or work in a film with? That's a hard one.
That was so hard, man.
Yeah, I know.
That
Well,
is really hard.
it doesn't have
Oh,
to be, yeah.
it's very random,
Yeah.
but I would love to do a scene with Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. What has
Helen
she
Mirren.
done?
She is a British actress.
Yeah.
She usually plays different, like multiple productions where she's played Queen Elizabeth, actually. So I think the movie that brought her to prominence in Hollywood was, I think it was called The Queen, where
Okay.
she played Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of stage as well. Do you remember that movie Red with Bruce Willis? They're like all like middle-aged, borderline retired hitmen. It's kind of like an action comedy.
Oh, I did
Kind of,
see that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a sequel to it as well.
Okay.
It was Bruce Willis. It was
I
John
saw, I saw part
Malkovich.
two. I saw bits of part two as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the older British woman,
Okay.
part of that group. Yeah, that's Helen Mirren.
Okay. So you'd like to work with her?
Yeah, I'd love to work with her. I'd love to work
Yeah.
with her. I'd love to work with oh man, Colin Farrell. I think he'd be awesome to
He's
work with.
awesome.
Yeah, he'd be really fun to work with.
Yeah.
I'd like to work with Robert Pattinson actually.
Oh, he's cool.
He'd be I wasn't really I didn't care much for him like throughout that whole Twilight phase.
Yeah.
Post Twilight, he was starting to do a lot of independent projects.
Right.
He was really showcasing what he could actually do. I'd love
Yeah.
to work with him. I think he's
That's
great.
cool.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of really good actors and actresses. But I also like working with people. I'd love to work on like a really solid project where like nobody knows who I am and nobody knows anyone else in the film either, and see what could come of that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about directors? Is there any famous directors you'd love to be coached under? Or
Edward Zwick, I think, is a really good director. Edward Zwick directed The Last Samurai.
okay.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great director. Um, Mel Gibson's a really good director.
Yeah. Apocalypto is amazing.
Apocalypto's a really good one.
Yeah.
Regina King. So Regina King, it was her directorial debut. There was what's the movie called? Oh man, there was a lot of buzz this year
Yeah.
for her movie. It was her directorial debut. I'm like the name is just a complete blur.
She's gonna be pissed if she sees this.
She's gonna be super
She's
pissed.
like, I'm not working with this guy. How dare you?
But I mean, I've been following her acting career for a number of
Right.
years, so
Right.
I would love to be able to work with her.
Yeah.
Um, Catherine Bigelow is another really good director that I'd love to work with. Patty Jenkins, she directed the Wonder Woman
Okay.
movies. I think
Yeah.
she's a brilliant director. I think she'd be great. Um, Man, the Russo brothers, they do mostly like MCU based movies, like the
Okay.
Avengers. I
Okay.
think they're also pretty good with like small scale, like independent, like indie flicks as well. So I'd
Okay.
like to work with them. The
Yeah.
Wachowski, well, they were brothers, now they're sisters apparently.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they'd be really cool to work with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a long list,
Oh,
man.
okay. You got okay. That's cool. What
Yeah.
about I was really wanted to ask you, is there any kind of role that you'd love to play? Like, what kind of role would be like a?
I like uh I like biopics.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoy biopics,
Yeah.
especially you can see the accuracy like between the story and the actor versus the people that they're trying to portray on screen.
Right. Right.
So I would love to be in a drama
Mm,
where I'm portraying an actual person.
right.
So that's why I ended up writing that George Dixon biopic
Yeah,
with
I was
my
thinking
own.
about that.
So that's definitely something that I mean I'd have to secure the rights to actually film it, but that's one of the main reasons why I'm getting into producing so I can actually do that. But
Right.
so I think doing a biopic that would be my dream type project.
And you know that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah.
movie.
That's a
And
great
then
movie.
and the actual guy, I'm so brutal, I'm forgetting his name, but I love watching interviews with that guy as well. He's a cool character as well.
It's inspiring. It's
Yeah.
really inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
really inspiring. There's a lot of self-made people whose stories are so interesting,
Yeah.
and we're only seeing like some of these people on screen.
Right, right.
So, and like especially here in Canada, there are a lot of like kind of like unsung heroes that we have here in Canada that no one really knows about. I had
Yeah,
no idea who George Dixon was
right,
before I was like asked to audition to
right.
play him on the show. I had no idea that he invented the punching bag that boxers
Okay.
practice with.
Okay.
Right?
That's
That
crazy.
was that was his idea. I had no clue until I started doing the research on that. So I had no idea that he's the first African Canadian boxing champion. And he was a lightweight. He was what? At his heaviest, he was 115 pounds. He was
Wow.
5'3". He held two championship titles simultaneously. He's the first person in Canada to do that. I mean, there's so many achievements that he's been able to, so many things he's been able to accomplish, but it all kind of went under the radar. If you think of boxing, you think like Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield or Lennox Lewis or all those
Right,
guys. Not to take away from any of them, they're all legends, definitely. But just kind of goes to show that we do have a lot of interesting people that are homegrown, and I think it's worth hearing their stories. And it's not even really a racial thing. Like there's black, white, Asian. There are a lot of Canadians who have really interesting stories, and it's just worth telling their stories. So
right.
I'd love to be able to do that here.
Did you ever consider moving to LA at any time, or do you like being in the Canadian industry? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I always imagine myself living in LA and doing all of that jazz.
Right.
Um, it kind of lost its appeal, to be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that I would never take an opportunity if it presented itself.
Right.
Depending on what it was, I would definitely do it, but that wouldn't be my main focus. I'd like to stay here in Canada.
Yeah.
And actually, not just here in Canada, I also like to film in South Africa. Like the film and TV business over there, it's really booming, and a lot of their projects are being featured on Netflix, and like the quality is absolutely great. So I'd
Right.
love to be able to continue doing Canadian projects here, but
Yeah.
also go back home to South Africa and shoot some projects over there and see what can
Right.
be done over there too.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I know like in Nigeria they have like Nollywood right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, Nollywood's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so Nigeria, they produce the most content, more so than Hollywood.
Right.
and it's definitely entertaining. The
Yeah.
quality's not always the greatest. It's definitely improved a hell of
Right.
a lot.
Right.
It's really interesting when you watch a Nollywood film. You can look at a Nollywood film and be like the budget must have been very very minimal, or like the quality. It's kind of like university grade
Mm.
quality. But there's something about a lot of the stories that they're trying to tell where it's enough to just kind of engage you and pull you in, and you watch it from beginning to end. And I think that's the popularity that's come of it. So they've just been able to produce a lot of content. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's good on them. In South Africa, it was similar, but now we went through a period where a lot of Hollywood productions were investing in film and TV in South Africa. So now a lot of the quality uh, of productions in South Africa, it's pretty high scale. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty high equipment. It's pretty good. Like District 9, that Alien movie that came out back in 2009, that was all shot in South Africa, an
Mm.
entirely South African team. And some of those actors, started doing Hollywood films, and that kind of inspired that movie Elysium with Matt Damon. So they were able to fly to South Africa and shoot that there, and Jodie Foster. So their industry, it's definitely growing and getting a lot better. And Africa as a whole, well, different parts of that, different countries within Africa, anyways, are starting to get a lot of recognition for the quality of their work, and I think that's great. I think we can definitely invest in that, but I also think it's just as important that we invest in Canadian content, because there's a lot to do. There's a lot of stories to tell. You can blanket any city in Canada and make it look like a completely different city.
Right.
You have a lot of Hollywood productions that do that all the time. So
Right.
yeah,
Awesome, man.
yeah.
Cool, dude. I'll wrap it up in a couple minutes here. I gotta go. I still have my 9 to 5 that I have to do. Like, Charlize Theron as well.
Charlize Theron, yeah, she's great, amazing actress.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, first of all, at its core, it's awesome that you just keep doing this, right? And you're passionate about it, which is really cool. It's just cool to link up with anyone that's passionate, right? Like,
yeah,
a
absolutely.
lot of people lose their passion, and I think they just lose their that's
Yeah,
it, right? They just go through the motions. It's brutal. And
yeah, it is. It
known each other
is.
for quite a long time.
Yeah, very long time, man.
Yeah, dude, it looks like you're getting younger, man. You got more energy.
You
You're
haven't aged yourself either, man.
Yeah, you're the Benjamin
Working
Button
out.
of Canadian acting. You're just going backwards. Um, yeah. And dude, do you remember that you were actually my manager once because you got me a job during university, working in like a kitchen or something at a college.
Yes. Ah, Columbia
Yeah,
International College.
yeah. So I
Oh
was
my God,
like
there's
the
so
one.
much slacking there. It's hilarious. I loved it. I miss
Yeah,
it, man. Those were good times.
yeah, I needed a job then. So I remember you were like giving me the laydown of the land and stuff, and I was like, oh, thank
Yeah,
goodness I got this job. It's because you mentioned
yeah,
that one dude you did that scene with, you were his manager. And I thought,
yeah.
you were my manager too.
I'm everybody's manager, man.
Everybody's manager. You're supposed to be a producer or director, dude. You're like a good manager. You're a good.
Yeah,
That's cool, dude. Well, I think yeah, you do look young. You have youthfulness, which is obviously must be great for the industry.
yeah.
And if it doesn't kick off right away, you've got lots and lots of decades in you, man. You can keep putting out great stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's the dream at the end of the day. Just
Yeah.
keep hustling, right? Like we all have our 9 to 5, and you have your priorities and all, but if you could find time to for yourself, just work on your passion, whatever that may be, I think that'll make you that much happier, I believe. So
Cool.
whether something comes of it or not, is like just keep trying to keep hustling.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm all about that too.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna have the 3 links underneath. Like, definitely, guys, click on them and watch them because you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how good they are. They're very, very good. Um, and then, is there anything else you want to promote, dude? Anything that people should check out?
Oh, what can I coming soon? I'm hoping these projects come to be down the road. So I won't say anything right now,
Okay.
but
Well,
definitely stay tuned.
yeah. If you put out something you want to come on, and then come do the podcast again to promote it. Just let it be one of the.
Absolutely.
Okay, that'll be great.
Absolutely. Definitely,
And then
definitely, man.
listen, if something really kicks off and you get really famous, you better give me another interview because I gave you the.
I'm hoping to be on this podcast again, man. This has
Okay,
been great times, really great times.
okay, sweet. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Tsoanelo. Guys, check out his stuff. He's a really good guy. And yeah, just really cool guy and smart. I think really smart. And it's really cool just that you made those three. So it tells me there's more in the works if you could make that
Oh,
happen.
definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys, thanks for watching thatguysean.com. Like and subscribe. Don't do it for me. Do it for Tsoanelo. Like and subscribe to mine for him. Okay, guys, and thanks for watching. See you later.